I will present an external, like customers or collaborators view of doing research and business with ESA. Actually, this is based on my fairly long experience in doing business with ESA. I started the business in 1995 when Finland joined ESA as a full member, joining a project called Integral Mission that is still flying and operational, and participating in the design and manufacturing of an instrument called GEM-X, which was led by Danish Space Research Institute in Denmark. And since then I have been leading a few other ESA science instrument projects. The first mission to the moon, we built an X-ray solar monitor for the SmartMan mission in Finland, and further on a similar instrument for the Indian Space Research Organization. And currently we are preparing an instrument for the next ESA Cornerstone mission to be launched for planet Mercury 2 years from now, and the principal investigator of the sixth instrument for that mission. So that's why I have some information on how to deal with ESA, and also leading some of the technology studies. It's given some more insight. But as there were no speakers from ESA here, I will start with a short summary of the European Space Agency as a general. So what is ESA? This is taken from the ESA website, so that's why it's in quotes, and you can read it. European Space Agency is Europe's gateway to space. Well, this is an advertisement-like announcement in the beginning, but gives you some kind of view. I guess most of you know ESA, but for those who don't, first view of the ESA, and then there is the map showing the countries that are ESA member states, and the darkest colored gray countries are the member states, and there are 20 of those, and then there are countries with a cooperation agreement with ESA. There are those the middle gray color, and the lightest gray color is non-ESA countries. And ESA is a fairly widespread organization in the sense that it operates in many areas connected to space. A lot of activities observing the Earth, human spaceflight, launchers, navigation, space science, space engineering, operations, technology, and then they do a great job in public outreach and space news. And their full budget for this year is said to be in the public information a bit over 4 billion euros. And what is important, maybe most important thing here, is that about 85% of ESA's budget is spent on contracts with European industry. So the European industrial companies are privileged to make contracts and agreements with ESA and put further their technological skills with ESA money and improve their competitiveness via this. And then ESA has an industrial policy which is summarized here. There is the fair return principle that was already mentioned earlier today, so that in a certain number of years each ESA member country gets its yearly membership fees back by industrial contracts from ESA, paid by ESA. And the other higher level policy principle is that it aims at improving competitiveness of European industry and furthermore maintains and develops space technology. And we have the ESA activity domains, and the percentages are the budget shares of each activity area of the total ESA budget. ESA spends most of this budget in Earth observation, and then the other big shares are navigation and launchers, and then only comes the scientific program, which is for the great public the biggest, most visible part. You may understand that well, but it is only 12% of ESA's budget. Most of ESA's activities are not connected to the scientific program. And then there are smaller shares. Human spaceflight preparations and studies are almost as big as the scientific program. And then there are these telecom and integrated applications. It's understandable that ESA doesn't take over this, because this is sort of a most business-based and industry-based activity everywhere in the world. And basic technology support, which includes the general technology programs, which I will list later on, is a small fraction as well. There's other robotic exploration and space situational awareness. Talking about this space situational awareness, it's a great pity that in Europe this area is not appreciated as much as it should be. In the United States, I know the investments on SSA are much bigger than in Europe. And I know that also, is there the EU representatives in the audience still? EU is investing now to SSA together with ESA to strengthen this investment in Europe, and that is a good thing. And the last part is the cooperative states agreement, which is now the countries that are, for the countries that are now going to join ESA later on. And then I talk something which is based on my own experience, how to get involved with ESA, or to get access to ESA programs. As for the technology programs, each company or institute needs to register to the ESA invitation to tender system, called EMITS, and then follow the opening invitations to tender IDTs that appear there. There are long lists of IDTs all the time, and then make a bid. And the money comes from, and the project control comes from ESA, so that ESA reviews your progress in the project, and is led by ESA. And getting those projects depends not only on the competitiveness of the project proposal, but also on how much each country has got return from ESA. So there's the fair return policy applied here. Taking part in the science program is quite different. It becomes from the interest of scientific institutes in the member countries. Researcher in a certain institute may have an interest to start studying something like the planet Mercury, for example, and then make a proposal to ESA to actually have a mission to Mercury. and that is a free work done by the scientists, and it enters the ESA evaluation, and if it then accepted, it goes on, and there will be a science mission supported by ESA. And then all those parties that participate in the actual mission proposal, this still does not require more money than just work writing proposal, then have a good chance to continue being in part in the mission later on. And the next stage will be to making the proposal for a science instrument, and this is where the sort of the real big work may start. But the condition is that since ESA does not pay this investment for the individual science instruments, you, if you're a researcher that intends to lead or participate in instrument provision for ESA mission, you have to apply funding from your national funding agency to be involved in the project, and you have to get the funding, otherwise you will be out. And so it's a national-based funding for the science instruments, and it's still a competition. There can be several instrument proposals for the same purpose, and the best wins. And what is good, since the platform launch and operating costs are much higher than the science payload price, ESA takes care of this. And I just take a case Finland situation in last year. So Finland is engaged with ESA with this kind of contributions. We have actually, since joining ESA, been involved in 16 science missions. Almost every science mission that ESA has conducted since 1995, Finland has been involved, and also in some other, also technology missions. There are more contributions, but then this is the number of missions. And then as for the activity areas, Earth observations, there are various programs with a huge number of different abbreviations you need to learn to understand the abbreviations. Because half of the text written by ESA and spoken in the ESA meetings is acronyms. There are several of these where Finland is involved in Earth observation. It's the biggest part and it's the biggest program, our biggest activity area, as said, of ESA, and it's understandable that Finland is also in that sense very consistent with participating in the ESA activities. And then there is the telecom and integrated applications activity area. Finland is involved in 7 artist programs, for example Galileo, AlphaBus, Neosat, etc. And then technology support. This technology support activity is maybe the most interesting for sort of a small company, small or medium-sized company in ESA countries, because there are bids that you can make for a given projects, and there are a lot of projects available, and for example TRP, they are mostly big projects that can usually be led by only bigger companies, but you can be a partner there as a smaller company or science institute. And also the GSP program may be the too big responsibility for a small company. But it is possible to have a leadership also for small companies in this. And then there's the core technology program. The first 3 ones are sort of compulsory programs for member states. And the fourth, the general support technology program, it is for more advanced development closer to commercialization purposes. And this is a sort of a program, the size of which is determined by the willingness of the national funding agencies to fund the named projects. So they are differently processed than the other 3 of the above programs. So that's what I can say as an advice for those who don't know this. And you see that Finland is not engaged in all the programs, human space flight and launchers. Finland it's the policy of Finnish space policy that Finland is not engaged here. That's a decision only. And also in the small SSA program we had some very small contribution for some time, and I don't know what has happened to that. So that was a very short introduction to how to get engaged with ESA. I'm glad to answer questions if I'm capable of answering, if someone has